Welcome to episode number 289 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. You can find us by searching for Beyond Social Media Show. We are recording on November 15, 2019. A lot of things to talk about this week, as usual, including Twitter's deep fake policy, Adobe Max, Puerto Rican art, Twitter ad restrictions, Tik Tok advertising, smart speaker sales, Niantic maps, and the shiniest new stuff of 2019. BL and I will go through and pick out our favorites of the shiniest new stuff that we covered during this past year to give you a grand list of 10 of the shiniest new things of 2019. But BL kicks it off with the best. BL, what story you got? What was the best of the week?
Well, I'm impressed by the fact that Twitter is asking people to vote on their potential deep fake policy. So you can vote on what you think they should do up until November 27th. This is from a story by Casey Newton and in his newsletter, and by Del Harvey, who is the Twitter person in charge of this. And so Twitter's either going to add warnings to deep fakes, add context to the posts that share them, or remove them altogether. And you can give your opinion up until November 27th. And Del Harvey is VP of Trust and Safety. And she says, here's a draft of what we'll do when we see synthetic and manipulated media that purposely try to mislead or confuse people. And they would either place a notice next to the tweets that share this material, warn people before they share or like tweets that it's manipulated media, or add a link, for example, to a news article or a Twitter moment so that people can read more about why various sources believe this is fake manipulated material. And Twitter is including synthetic, or if a tweet includes synthetic or manipulated media and is misleading and could threaten someone's physical safety, she said, we may remove it. You can offer your opinions in a survey that takes about 5 minutes to complete. And there's a form to fill out if you want to partner with Twitter to develop solutions to detecting fakes. So I think that's a very interesting development. It's not the first time they've asked for public opinion, and I don't honestly know how seriously they take it, but they're asking for it.
Very cool. Well, they should be, I'll get to this in a subsequent story. They should be partnering with Adobe for detecting deep fakes, because they've got some technology that we'll talk about shortly that would help in that regard. But one Twitter policy that users will not be able to vote on is their new ad policy for political advertising. This is a discussion, BL, you and I have had over the past couple of episodes. This extends that with a Wall Street Journal article by Emily Glazer that talks about Twitter announcing today that they are not going to allow geo-targeting at the zip code level for political advertising. So it sounds like they read that FEC opinion article by the FEC chair about restricting hyper-targeting in social media advertising, because this would be part of that. So they're not going to allow advertisers to target by zip code or political advertisers, or by targeting users' political leanings or affiliations. So presumably that means a category in Twitter advertising that you can choose whether somebody's a Democrat or a Republican and target them that way. There are ways around that, I might add. You can target based on demographics that, Fox News viewers and there's a bunch of different conservative or liberal psychographic things you could target through Twitter without explicitly choosing a political category. But we'll see how they address that. The company Twitter defines issue-based ads as those related to civic engagement, economic growth, environmental stewardship, and social equity or social equity causes. So this brings up the question of many nonprofits that aren't political deal with these subjects, right? And how are they going to deal with that? That remains to be unseen. That remains to be seen. I mean, and then Twitter says also that for-profit organizations can't run ads driving political, judicial, legislative, or regulatory outcomes. And this will go into effect worldwide on November 22nd. So it does say in the article that Twitter is saying, we will likely make mistakes in rolling this out, and so it'll be an evolving policy, and so we'll see how it works out. But some movement on that political advertising front.
Well, that's really interesting development, and it is going to be hard to regulate and to keep the nonprofits and I would think also media organizations,
Right.
from making these kinds of outreaches. But at least they're trying. You definitely have to hand it to them for that.
Sure.
So I am so pleased to see this. Lin-Manuel Miranda is digitizing art from, he's teamed up with Google Arts and Culture, the most wonderful organization on the planet, and they're digitizing the collections of Puerto Rico's major museums. So, Puerto Rico was so devastated by Hurricane Maria, and Lin-Manuel Miranda established a multi-million-dollar fund last year to support Puerto Rico's cultural scene. Through this project, he said, we hope the world will get a glimpse of the art treasures of Puerto Rico and then come visit them in person. So as of November 7th, more than 350 works of art, including dozens that were captured in ultra-high resolution by Google Arts and Culture's art camera, they have a special camera, are available online, and many more are going to be added. But, that's a really great project, and I don't know how much of the art in the museums was ruined as a result of the hurricane, but what is being saved is certainly culturally important, and what a nice thing for him to be doing.
That's very cool. Very cool. And speaking of digital visuals, this is very much related to that. This is a Gizmodo article by Andrew Lizweski, I believe, and who writes about Adobe Max's 2019 conference, where Adobe teased some AI-powered innovations for their projects. So we'll talk about a handful of them. Lightright is one of them. So this innovation is for like Photoshop. It allows you to radically adjust the lighting in a photo after the photo was taken. So you can import your photo into Photoshop. Presumably this is going to be applied to Photoshop. This is innovations that haven't yet been implemented in Adobe products. But the tool can calculate the 3D dimensions of a 2D object and then recreate like the proper shadows as you adjust the intensity and position of like the sun. So you have an outdoor scene of maybe a barn or something, and you take your photograph and the sun is at position one point in the sky. You use this tool and you can reposition the sun, and it will recalculate the shadows from where the light is coming from based on your repositioning of it. So and we'll put videos of these demonstrations in the show notes so you can watch it. It's pretty amazing.
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is.
That really is.
Another one is, and here's where Twitter might be interested in this. This is called Project About Face, and this is an innovation that uses machine learning to analyze photos to look for signs of digital manipulation. So when you manipulate a photo, I've done just touched up photos and stuff. Sometimes I want to block out something in a minor thing in the photo. I'll take a scrap of image from near the place I want to block out and just layer over that and then touch it up to eliminate what I wanted to eliminate. But that manipulation, you can tell, this tool can detect. So patterns of pixels that have been copied from another area of the photo, it can tell. Or when you eliminate photos, it changes the pixel dynamic of the image. So it analyzes that and gives you a score basically of whether or not it's been manipulated in the degree of manipulation that's been done. So very cool with that. Another one is Sweet Talk. It's called Sweet Talk, and this analyzes pre-recorded audio and then applies it to a 2D static image. So they showed a rough sketch of a face that the demonstrator had done, just a line drawing, and then took a audio sample and applied it to the photo and made the sketch animate to the script of what the audio was saying. They applied the same thing to a Vincent van Gogh self-portrait, the famous Vincent van Gogh self-portrait, and made that come to life with Vincent van Gogh speaking the audio sample. So that was fascinating. Image Tango applies a texture from one image to another. So in this demonstration, somebody doodled out a barely recognizable bird, and then took a photo of a bird and applied the texture from the photo to the drawing and turned it into an entirely different photorealistic bird. And then finally, Awesome Audio is a tool that very easily automatically cleans up cluttered audio. So you hear like maybe the sirens going on in your neck of the woods, or woods might not be the proper terminology, siren going on in New York, or you're in a crowded cafe and you're recording a podcast and there's all this ambient sound. This, you just run it through and it automatically cleans that up and turns it into a professional sounding audio. So very cool, and we'll put all these demonstrations in the show notes so people.
What does it cost?
They didn't mention any pricing on this. These are just innovations that they haven't yet implemented. Who knows if they actually are going to implement them, but I would imagine they would.
The one about telling if a photo's been altered, that's going to scare off an awful lot of people who have their wrinkles taken out, their teeth whitened, the bags out over their eyes removed, all that stuff, and you'd be exposed.
Well, that's true, but that's one that
all the LinkedIn photos.
That's one that they should implement. Like yesterday for journalists to
absolutely. That's a really good one. So this could have been in the worst of the week, but it's so clever of them. TikTok is trying to poach advertisers from Facebook. So they began running ad campaigns across Google, targeting people who are curious about Facebook advertising and influencer business, and suggesting TikTok as a better option. So this is from an Adweek article by Shoshana Wodinsky, and they're using the Martech. Adweek used the Martech intelligence tool SimilarWeb, and they found 5 separate campaigns across search engines targeting terms like Facebook ad network or Facebook influencer ads. So when looking up those terms, marketers who are interested in Facebook's platform might see an ad for TikTok's platform at the top or the bottom of the search results, and they might take a chance on that. So a TikTok spokesperson acknowledged that they're doing this and said that they were small tests. They want to see the value of search engines for catching the eyes of potential agencies. But the bottom line is that TikTok is far cheaper than Facebook. And so the ad tech company AdStage found Facebook at $7.77 cost per 1,000 impressions, totaling roughly as a rough total, while TikTok CPMs are only 24 cents cost CPM. So recent estimates have pegged TikTok as drawing $75 million from more than 1 billion TikTokers globally, and they spend real money to buy in-app tokens that they give to creators during live streams. And coins are available in bundles that cost anywhere from 99 cents to $99.99. So some estimates peg the cost of Google search ads at roughly $1 or $2 per click, but it's likely that TikTok is paying a bit more because the number of tech platforms that want a piece of Facebook's multi-billion-dollar ad business via Google is pretty big. So when it comes to targeting ads, TikTok offers age, gender, basic geo-targeting on a state-by-state level. And though it's promising more granular demographic-based targeting in the future, it really doesn't hold a candle, as you know, to what Instagram or Facebook offer. So Facebook has rolled out some of its own offerings to compete with the short-form giant. So Facebook has a new short video option on Instagram called Reels, and they just tested that in Brazil. And guess what? It looks a lot like TikTok. And Reels is an integrated feature within Instagram, and you can make very TikTok-y clips for use in stories. So the challenge is going to be to get users to create entertainment-focused clips outside the usual autobiographical stories on Facebook. So it's an interesting battle, and I thought that it belonged in best for that reason.
Well, you could put it in worst as the Chinese government surveillance tool.
Well, that's why, I really thought I could put it in either place
Yeah,
because it has its goodness, bad things, but it's clever to do that. And
yeah,
they're not the only ones, but they're the most recent.
yeah. So here's your favorite topic, smart speakers. This is from a Marketing Land story by Greg Sterling, who reports on market research firm Canalys is reporting that Amazon has shipped 3 times the number of smart speaker / display units as Google in the third quarter of this year. So Google is responsible for 3.5 million units compared to Amazon's 10.4 million. And the smart display category of smart speakers, so the Echo Show, the ones with the screens, the speakers with the screens, the category grew 500% globally to reach 6.3 million units in Q3 2019. So the inexorable march of smart speakers continues, BL, and with upcoming holiday sales, I'm sure they're going to be boosted even more. So audio marketing, that's the future.
Well, I had coffee with David Berkowitz this afternoon, and he was telling me that he bought an Alexa microwave, and his 5-year-old daughter tells it what to do. But he printed a copy of her conversation with the speaker, and she was asking her to find a song that had been sung by the kids in her kindergarten, and Alexa kept giving her the weather. And no, I want this song. And this conversation went on and on. It was really interesting. No, I want Miss Jones's class at such and such a school. And well, here's the weather. It went on and on. And finally, she gave up. But
yeah, I don't know if any smart speaker is going to be smart enough to know about her school. But I do notice, having both a Google Home and an Echo, that Google is much smarter at answering questions. Echo gets a lot more things wrong than Google Home.
But the funny part is a 5-year-old talking to the microwave, and getting answers.
Yeah.
So I don't have any bad news. I'm ready to go into better stuff. So go ahead and tell us your terrible news.
I got just one quick one, and this is too long, must read. An article by Kotaku, by Cecilia D'Anastasio and Dhruv Morota. And it is about, did you remember Pokemon Go?
Sure.
Pokemon Go blitz in 2018. So this is the company Niantic has apparently a new augmented reality mobile game. I hadn't heard about this until I saw this article, called Harry Potter Wizards Unite. And the funny thing about this article is obviously written by a millennial, because it starts off with games that bring back your childhood. Well, Harry Potter isn't my childhood.
No, mine either.
Yeah.
More like stickball.
Yeah. So apparently the article is really long and really in-depth, and it's an in-depth investigation into the data that Niantic is collecting through these mobile games they're developing. So Harry Potter Wizards Unite is an augmented reality mobile game, much like Pokemon Go, except it's Harry Potter obviously themed. Pokemon Go had 150 million active users in 2018 when it launched. But the genius of these, and the cautionary tale too, if you're interested in your privacy, is that basically these apps are using crowdsourcing, mapping the world, right? Because they're augmented reality, you're pointing your camera at everything. As you use it, it's mapping the world, plus it's mapping your place in the world with the geo targeting of the phone, the GPS of the phone, and then your camera coupled with what it's mapping everything around you, and it's actually storing all that. So every move gets documented and stored up to 13 times a minute, according to this investigation. You can read the rest of it, but it's just it's kind of a stunning figure. You know that this stuff is mapping you just intuitively because it has to in order to work, just like Google Maps has to do that in order to work. But having those numbers in front of you kind of is a little shocking too. So
It's chilling. But I did an interview this week with J.T. Kostman, who is I've interviewed him before, and he's just such a plain English-speaking scientist. And he said that for fun, when he was in Starbucks that morning, he took the passwords off 6 people's phones and handed it to them on a piece of paper because they were on a public network in Starbucks. I mean, we don't have privacy. That's the point I'm trying to make. And, this is just making that worse, much worse.
Yeah, that's why I don't use public Wi-Fi's anymore.
Me either. I mean, really, and he said, like, pretty much that's all anybody needs to steal your identity is to be in your phone like that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So, does that bring us to our favorite shiny objects of the year?
Yes, it does. So let's do this. We're going to run through. BL and I are both going to cite 5 of our favorites from the past year, and we'll alternate. So you do one and I do one. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
All
This
right.
is actually a new one, but it belongs on this list. This is Spectacles 3. And Spectacles 3 for a mere $380. They're going up in cost every iteration, but they have 2 HD cameras that capture 3D photos and videos, and they have 4 built-in microphones that record immersive high-fidelity audio. Photos and videos sync to your phone where you can edit and transform them with a new suite of 3D effects on Snapchat. So the Spectacles come with exclusive three-dimensional AR effects for photos and video, and they have a new depth sensor, which includes the ability, I love this, to make it look like you're walking down a rainbow hallway or like a cartoon phoenix is following you around on a walk. So in a business move that follows, it's a business move that follows the relative failure of the first 2 iterations. But the CEO, Evan Spiegel, discussed how Snap had acknowledged that widespread adoption of AR wearables is probably another 10 years off. Nonetheless, they want to keep testing out in the open with the Snapchat community rather than go in a hole with an R&D center for a decade. So that just sounds like the most interesting one yet. And they're cool looking. Really cool looking.
Yeah, I like my spectacles. My only problem is that the little screw came out of the hinge of one of them, and I don't have a screwdriver small enough to put it back in.
Oh, they sell those kits in pharmacies. You can get an
they?
eyeglass repair kit. Yeah, it has little itty bitty screwdriver and little itty bitty screws.
Yeah, well, I got the screw. I just don't have the screwdriver small enough. My guitar screwdrivers aren't even small enough, so I'll have to run to the grocery store, the drugstore, and get one.
Yeah, they all sell them.
All right. So mine is this. My first shiniest cool stuff of 2019 is the 2019 marketing calendar that's put together by Anna Crow of Search Engine Journal. And so this she puts together this awesome calendar of marketing events, and it includes like monthly events. So Earth Month, Poetry Month, but weekly in days that are dedicated to a certain thing, just all the marketing days that you can use for your marketing thing. She puts it together in a big Google Sheet or Google Calendar format with installation instructions, so you can just import it into your Google Calendar. And while this is not very helpful for anyone right now, since it's 2019 and we're in November, she has promised to do one for 2020, and there's a sign up you can sign up for. So we'll put a link in the show notes so people can sign up for the new version. I've tweeted her and asked when if she knows when that's going to come out, but I haven't heard back from her yet. But that's a very useful tool that we've actually used around the show.
I agree that that was really a good one. And this is from Google Books, and it's an interactive experiment. We talked about this most recently in episode 285. And Google's celebrating the 15th anniversary of Google Books with a new design on desktop and some new features. So the new features use machine learning to connect images with book suggestions. So for example, you click on a picture of an elephant and you can find rare and iconic books like The Elephant Man or Agatha Christie's Elephants Remember. You click on the title, you get a page with a summary and a link to Google Books where you get information including the description, the author's history, the reader reviews, and options for purchasing or borrowing. There's also bibliographies and a citation tool for those who are doing research. When you click on an image, you see a story about the image. So it is really a wonderful, wonderful service.
Very cool. Very cool. My next one is a website called Color Meanings. It's by Jacob Oleson. And basically, it's what you need to know about the meanings of various colors. So if you're planning a brand, if you're putting together a new company or whatever, you want to put together your color scheme, whatever you need to know about colors and their meanings and why you should pick one versus another, this site will tell you an example. Blue, the color blue, one of my favorite colors. Blue seeks peace and tranquility and promotes physical and mental relaxation. The color blue reduces stress and creates a sense of calmness, relaxation, and order. Try and lie on your back and look up at the blue cloudless sky. Blue lowers metabolism. The paler the blue color, the more free we feel. The blue color meaning is known to be good at one-way communication, especially communication with your voice. It's the teacher, the public speaker. Dark blue is associated with knowledge, power, integrity, and professionalism. So that's a sample of the kind of information you get about colors from the site.
I love that one. Yeah. I forgot about that one. Well, I think this is one of the really great new things, and this is Audiogram, and I talked about this in episode 281. More than 85% of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube videos are consumed without audio, mostly because people are watching at work and they don't want their boss to know what they're doing. So what Audiogram does is it helps you leverage captioned short videos featuring your podcast audio content. So you can use these short videos, and I have done these for our show, and I'll do one for this one, to give a little snippet of your podcast to use on social. So I posted them on Twitter, for example. You can make a short snippet of the audio and add it to a video that has a thumbnail image and captions for the clip, and then you add a link to the full podcast so people can get to it. It has a free version, and it's got a lot of features, and it's a wonderful new tool that I'm surprised more people aren't using.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one. This one I really like a lot. It's called Media Cloud. And so the Media Cloud is an open source platform for media analysis. It is a joint project of the MIT Center for Civic Media and Berkman Klein Center for Internet and Society at Harvard University, and it's a fabulous research tool. So they have sections of it, or features of it. The Explorer feature you can use to create an instant analysis of how digital news media covers a topic of interest, your topic of interest based on your keywords. The Topic Mapper allows you to build a topic for a deeper dive into whatever issue you're interested in. And then they have a source manager, and these are just some of the features. A source manager where you can view your print broadcasts and digital news collections, or the tools, print broadcast or digital news collections, and see what various media sources have, and you can suggest additional sources as well for your research topic. So it's a fantastic research tool that I've made use of, definitely.
I like that one. The next one I have is VCSO, which we talked about in episode 262. It's a great tool for, I think you use it already. It's a great tool for upping your Instagram story skills. It's free on mobile, and you can edit with 10 presets. It has basic editing tools like contrast, saturation, and grain. And there's a library of inspiring photos and editorial that you can incorporate into your material. You can share your photos for a chance to be curated by them as well. And it's a very simple to use tool, and it's got great, great capabilities.
Yep, awesome app, definitely. Another awesome tool, and I use SEMrush, but it's a paid tool, so I don't use this as much as I would if I wasn't using SEMrush. But it's essentially the same keyword research tool called Ubersuggest. It's done by Neil Patel, and Ubersuggest is a keyword research tool that's free. It offers domain level analysis, so you can plug in a domain name and get analysis of that domain. It'll analyze traffic, so it breaks it down into 3 main sections: overview, top pages, and keywords. It identifies the top SEO pages of any website, the top traffic pages, the top keywords that are being used on the website. You can use it to do keyword research, so you plug in your keyword and get keyword-based suggestions, as well as SERP analysis, search engine results page analysis of a given keyword search. And then they've recently added a BuzzSumo-like content feature. So you have a content ideas report. So you search for a keyword, you get related queries and search data, as well as a list of links to content that has performed well about that topic. Estimated visits, backlinks to that content, Facebook shares for that content, Pinterest pins for that content, and keywords that drove the traffic for that particular link. And again, it's free.
Yeah, that's a great tool. I use it all the time. Yeah. So the next one I have, and the fifth one, is it's for VR motion sickness. And I'm one of the people who gets motion sickness from VR, so I appreciate this one. This is from Otolith Labs, and it claims that it solves the problem of virtual reality motion sickness. It's a small device. You wear it on a VR headband, and it transmits a form of white noise to your inner ear, and that helps it cope with occasional disparity in moving within virtual worlds while not actually moving in the real world. VR-induced nausea has been a problem for the virtual reality industry since the early days of prototype Oculus headsets. Higher refresh rate screens and motion controllers have done a lot to help our brains come to terms with virtual movements not corresponding to real-world ones. But the experience is similar to traveling in a car. And looking out the window, and sometimes that makes people dizzy, or it's hard to see. But for those of us who are still susceptible to feeling sick, even after a brief period of VR, this new technology could change that. It's called Ototech, and it generates a virtually silent vibration that floods your inner ear with a form of white noise that causes your brain to reject its inputs, so it makes for a more comfortable experience in virtual reality. They reportedly work equally well in seated, standing, and room scale experiences. If and when the FDA approves it, it could be turned into a consumer product and incorporated into virtual reality headset design. So other attempts to fix motion sickness in VR have been met with mixed success. So a blanket solution that works in everything would really be welcome. And I mean, the worst experience I ever had was with one of the greatest VR things I ever saw. And that was showing how tequila is made at the Jose Cuervo plant. And you're a bee, and you're flying over the plant, and you're seeing like how, they make the Jose Cuervo, and I practically threw up, and so did a lot of other people, because the bee was moving too fast. Mm-hmm. So, that's a couple of years ago. I'm sure now the bee is moving more slowly and taking its time looking around, but, it's just like, whoa. And I'm not a person, I don't get seasick, I don't get car sick, but this just really undoes my brain. So I will be thrilled if this Otolith thing comes about.
Very cool. I've got my last one is another keyword tool. This is called demographics.io, and it is a free keyword research tool. But instead of researching the keywords, the volume of searches for a given keyword, like Uber suggests. This gives you the demographics of people searching for the keyword that you type in. So you type in a keyword and you get the age and gender breakdown of searchers for that keyword. It creates graphs to illustrate those breakdowns. I did a couple of searches for like our show. So we talked about marketing, male 57%, female 42%, advertising, male 48%, female 52%, public relations. This does not surprise me at all, having worked in public relations agencies for 10 years. Public relations, male 31, female 69%.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah, and then social media is male 42% and female 58%.
That's a great, I have to try that. That's a great one.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do have a couple of projects for next week, but I'll save them for that.
All right. All right. Well, then let's wrap this up. The daily numbers. We talk about this topic a lot, BL, but I've got some numbers now for us. We talk about digital illiteracy, about people not knowing digital things that they should know. So Pew did some research on this, and they've got some numbers here. This is the percentage of U.S. adults answering each question correctly. Phishing scams can occur on social media, websites, email, or text messages. That's the question. Is that true or not? 67% of people answered that correctly. So that's encouraging. Cookies allow websites to track user visits and site activity. 63% answered that correctly. Advertising is the largest source of revenue for most social media platforms. 59% answered that correctly. Privacy policies or contracts between websites and users about how those sites will use their data. 48% answered that correctly. Net neutrality describes the principle that internet service providers should treat all traffic on their networks equally. 45% answered that correctly. HTTPS:// in a URL means that information entered into the site is encrypted. Only 30% of people knew that. WhatsApp and Instagram are both owned by Facebook. Only 29% of people know that.
Really?
Maybe that's why Facebook is trying to reposition those two as under Facebook. Can identify example of true two-factor authentication based on the set of images that were shown. Only 28% could answer that correctly. Private browsing mode only prevents someone using the same computer from seeing one's online activities. 24% said that. And only 15% of people could correctly identify a picture of Jack Dorsey.
Of who?
Jack Dorsey.
Oh, that's funny. That really is. And his picture's out there from time to time,
especially
just last
now.
week.
Yep.
Yeah, that's funny. That really is. But he doesn't look like an executive in the traditional mode, so I guess people might miss that. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 289 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And you find us by just searching BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. I'm sorry. Just search Beyond Social Media Show. It will bring you to BeyondSocialMediaShow.com, where you will find links to everything we talked about today and in all our shows. So you go to BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. You'll see the video from the performance from the show tonight. You'll have the audio, and you'll have links to everything we talked about. I'm here with David Erickson. He's on Twitter as D Erickson, on Instagram as DE Erickson, on YouTube as E Strategy, and he blogs at e-strategyblog.com, which is a really terrific blog. I'm BL Ochman. I'm on Twitter as What's Next. I blog at What's Next blog. I'm on YouTube as What's Next blog. I'm on Instagram as NYC Tap Dancer. And Lucy the Rescue Puppy's on Instagram too. The show, again, BeyondSocialMediaShow.com, and Twitter, BS Media Show. And we'll be back next week, same time, same bat channel.
No, we won't.
We won't?
No, it's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, okay. One more. And good night.
Good night.